What is good, everyone? It's your boy Hawk, and welcome to another edition of Politicin, episode 5. My guest today that's joining us, he has a pretty familiar voice that you may hear from Monday through Fridays, 2 to 6 on 97.5 The Fanatic, the Mike Missinelli Show. He also has his own Saturday show from 9 to 12, which is self titled The Tyrone Johnson Show. Growing up, I've always known him as Anthony, but
Yeah, we can get into that.
we can get into that. I mean, time permitted. But to the world, everybody knows this gentleman as Tyrone Johnson, Mr. Johnson, cousin Johnson. What's good, my brother?
What's going on, cuz? Listen, I'm happy to be here, man. Happy
Oh
to be
man,
here.
it's an honor and a privilege. I must give you your flowers for everything that you do. In your career. And, it's something that I do idolize, and I'm very inspired, by you for the work that you put into the media broadcasting circuit. So, much props to you, man. You're
No, no, thank you. I'm just trying, man. Every day you just try to put in a good effort, and you see where the results are. And lately the results have been pretty decent.
awesome. Yep, great, man. Great, great, great. So, starting off our conversation, tell us about the moment in your life that inspired you to work in broadcasting.
That goes back to when I was 12. It was a snow day, and we had got finished shoveling snow. With our dads, when it snowed, we had to go out there and try to go make money and stuff.
Right.
We get done shoveling snow, and downstairs in the basement of the house, there was a radio that got left behind by the previous owner that was AM only, like a real old antique radio.
Mm,
My brother and I were down there. We were like, yo, we should just plug this thing in and see if it works. He was like 10. Yeah, I'm 12. He's 10.
right.
And I'm spinning the dial, and a sports talk comes on. Because my dad was always listening to like Motown and stuff. So I
Right.
didn't even really know sports talk really existed like that at that point.
Right.
And then they talk about sports on the radio. And from that moment on, I knew exactly what I wanted to do from that very second.
Oh man, that's great, man. That's great. I never knew that. That's a real cool story,
Yeah.
guys. Real good, real good.
Yeah,
So
got done. We were like tired. We're like, man, we got away from dad. He getting on our nerves. We've been out there all day. Like you be out there
mhm.
from like there till dark. At some point, people just saying no. Not you can't make them let you shovel the walk.
Right,
And
right.
we get home. So we like hide out from this guy. Like, man, we just gotta just hang low. Like it's snow day, we ain't had no school. We ain't even get no time to chill. And
hmm
literally, like, let's just see what's up. And literally from that moment, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what I want to do.
Cool, man. And look, talking about the snow, you know our parents, like, we couldn't hide from that. Like if it was a snow day, we had to go outside. Like there was
Yes,
no
yes,
that was like a demand without having to be
right,
said. You know what I mean?
right. We'll give it.
Exactly. Shoot.
Yeah,
So
like some people in the neighborhood, like, you going to play snow football? Maybe
yeah,
later.
yeah, right. Look,
Right now, we got her working.
look, that walkway better be shoveled because look, our parents be like, look, you trying to get us sued,
Uh-huh.
you
And
know?
then you're like, go knock on the neighbors' doors and see if they want to. Some say yes, some say no. He be
All the
mad at us
time,
when he say no. I'm like, I,
right?
I can't make them.
Do it
We asked
anyway.
them. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
do it
oh,
anyway. Shoot,
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah,
shoot, man. Oh, it's
hmm,
crazy, man. So tell
yeah.
me, who are some of your role models, influencers in the industry, past or present?
It's funny. When I first started, the person that helped me get into business was actually Anthony Gargano.
Oh, the
He was
cuz.
brand new at the time too. Yeah, the cuz he was brand new at the time, and I remember I had emailed him, and he hit me back because he respected that I was into the games. Sometimes the actual watching the games, watching the sports. A lot of times there are people who are in the sports but don't really watch the games, don't really know the sports themselves.
Right.
And I think he respected that. He helped me out. I remember I back then you had to fax in your resume, and I think I faxed in my resume something like 17 times.
Wow.
And one right back to back. And when they called me, which was the plan, I would say, you know what, this thing kept saying you used to have to get the confirmation sheet on a fax. And it would come back and it would say, it said it went through. I told them, now I said it didn't go through.
Right.
So then the boss calls me at the time, and then I email Anthony, say, I got my resume in with the boss, go put a good word in for me. And he did. And that's how I got in the business. So I'm always grateful to him. And then right away, this is 20 years ago, this is the year 2000,
Right.
I ended up being assigned, it was I remember I got hired, and then maybe a month later, a Mike Garafolo, who works for NFL Network, he got hired. And I know Mike Missinelli, who I work with now, he was big in the beginning. And Anthony, those were the main two that really helped me early in the business as far as the full-time people. Then the late John Smallwood was great to me early.
Right. Yeah.
Just
Rest in
passed away.
power. Definitely.
Yeah, when you first start, you have to do a lot of weekend shifts. I used to have to do his shows. He was always super kind, super helpful. Mark Eckel was extremely helpful. He used to write for the Trenton Times at the time.
Right.
He was doing his shows. Reuben Frank. There were a lot of people real early who really
Yeah.
helped me out. What
And
was weird was, though, there were no black people at the time.
wow. And you know
G
what?
Cobb, G Cobb was the only one, and he was part-time. He was the only one as
Right.
far as full-timers. Same thing with John. He was only doing weekends. That was one thing I noticed right away. There were
Right.
no black full-timers.
And you know what? You actually touched on what my next question was going to be. Looking into your resume, because I noticed you began your career as a producer in Philly around 1999, while also attending Rutgers University and graduating with a bachelor's degree in communications.
Mm-hmm.
Since then you've also transitioned to work in various markets from New Jersey to New York as an assistant chief engineer and a board
Mm-hmm.
operator. And tell us about the journey working in those markets from the traveling aspect. Because I know you're a New Jersey native. So you've
Mm-hmm.
been traveling from Jersey to Philly, Jersey to New York, as well as the challenges experienced while working in those particular specific positions in the field of broadcasting.
Yeah, it was it's been challenging. So I had reached my as far as I could go, I thought at the time at the first place doing sports. So I transitioned over to New Jersey 101.5. I was a assistant chief. I grew to be assistant chief engineer there. I really didn't have any on-air aspirations at that time. The toughest part with that was just the technical issues, and then whenever they were going the road, I was sort of in charge of it.
Right.
And and then there was also another place where I was the only black male. There was one black woman at the time when I got hired who worked in like the traffic department doing commercials and stuff. No
Okay.
sales, no bosses. So that was the toughest challenge, was to get certain people to take you seriously when you're starting out like that.
Right.
That's actually been the biggest challenge throughout this entire journey. Because to be honest with you, for the people out there that may not know, if you're black, you kind of have to do urban radio. And that's what I used to get told that I had to do. I had to go work at Power 99, for example, or
Right.
WDAS. And no disrespect to those stations. It was just in my mind, I wasn't a music jock. Like that wasn't on my mind.
Right.
So everywhere you go. So then I get out to 101.5. And then Craig Carton, who does afternoon drive now at WFAN, and he starts using me on the air. And then I thought, well, maybe I can do that. And I was doing that for a while, and then I had to transition out, and that's how I ended up at the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
From there, and that was wild because I was definitely the only black person at the Wall Street Journal,
Right.
the only black journal. And but then I had to start doing financial reports, and then I had to start working on the morning show. And the morning show, like everybody knows, morning shows are early. Obviously, it's morning show, but that show in particular was tough because that show started at 5 a.m. Nobody's getting up at 5 a.m. to talk about financial reports. So we would have to pre-tape those interviews. I would have to be at work at 3 a.m. We would have to edit those interviews for a couple hours to start it and then overlay them into the live show. So the host goes live at 5 a.m. We go, all right, this interview's 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Boom, we play that. He comes back, updates the news. They go to the news break. We come back. Here's another interview that's 6 minutes and 12 seconds. And we had to back time it each day.
Right. Wow.
Around things. So that was a real challenge. That was a real challenge. So yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was deep. No, I was gonna ask you because like you're in a position where okay, you're taking it from the sense of working in media broadcasting. So then now like you have to tap into the additional work of obtaining financial reports and like what
Yeah.
what came part of the job to say like.
Yeah, it was challenging, but it was good because you learn. Because engineering's one thing, you're keeping the stations on the air or whatever. I
Right.
decide I want to be on the air. I hit another point where I'm like, I don't think I can go any further. So now let's try something else. So that's where I end up at the Wall Street Journal, and I'm doing all right there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm starting to have a lot of confidence in like whatever thing, anything that's put in front of me. I'm now pretty confident that like I'll be good, like I'll be pretty good because it's kind of nothing I don't know how to do. At least that's what my mindset was at the time.
Right.
Wall Street Journal radio closes. They come on with this conference call right before Christmas. They put everybody on, and they're talking about how good a job we're doing and stuff. I'm like, there's no way they called on a conference call with everybody just to tell us how good a job we're going. And they told us at the end of the year, it's all shut down.
Wow.
Like it's closed. It's over.
Right.
So I'm like, everybody. So it's like not anybody's individual job or how they did or anything. It was just like everybody's gone. Everybody's let go.
Right.
So I'm like, all right. And that's how I ended up working in New York. I'm pretty sure I didn't even apply for the job because I don't ever remember applying for the job.
Right.
And so January 1st, I don't have a job. And then I started in New York by Martin Luther King Day.
Okay. So it's almost like you just kind of just transitioned over, into another field, when the Wall Street Journal shut down.
Yeah. Now that's working up politics shows.
Right.
Now I'm doing straight, kind of the name fits. Yeah, now I'm doing just political stuff. So I went from sports to engineering talk to doing the financial stuff with the Wall Street Journal. And now I'm doing politics in New York City, producing those shows and board op in those shows. And then that was a crazy time because to give the timeline, now we're going like I started in 2000. I'm there for like 4 years first stop. I'm there like 8 years the next stop. I'm there a few years, Wall Street Journal. And now that closes and now this other door opens. And then that's right around when Trump was running for president.
Wow.
And
amazing.
Yeah, it's right when Trump's running for president. And so Trump's running for president. And now I have to work on all these political shows. And the pundits are not taking him seriously. And I didn't blame him. So it got to the point where I had to produce and participate in like post-game coverage after all the debates. Because if you remember when Trump ran, there was like a bunch of people. They had to do two different debates, like an A and a B debate, and it was mad people. We had to do post-game shows.
As a regular person, nobody expected him to even come out of the whole Republican Party itself.
No.
Like nobody expected that to take place.
Right. So we're doing the shows and nobody's believing it. And now we're doing like post coverage afterwards. And then Glenn Beck, who's doing one of the biggest syndicated shows in the world, he started doing pre-tapes because he didn't want to do his shows live on Friday. So he'd have to do those Thursday night. And his normal producer was going on maternity leave. So it was like, all right, Tyrone, you're going to be in charge of these shows now. And I'm like, all right. So cool. And if anything goes wrong, you're going to get blamed. And it's kind of a hot time in that, like, whatever we know, like, he's no longer president. Like, it came and went. But at the time, obviously, people felt a certain way about it.
Right. Let me ask you real quick. Do you think he was attempting to set you up to fail, or was it an actual legitimate shot?
No. I was a legitimate shot because it would have been on him. He would have lost a lot of money. There were a lot of ads. He still has a lot of ads.
Right.
And those ads were paying a lot of money. So really, that's what it was all about: getting the show on, making sure all the ads are right, and then if some news broke, I would have to then come in. Even though we pre-taped that show Thursday, if some news broke, they might keep some of it, and then you had to produce the show on Friday. And that was different because it was completely different background. It's a national show. It was just insane.
Right.
So that's rolling along. And then he moves his offices from New York out to Dallas, Texas. What? And they're like, you can keep a job if you want to move there. Yeah, that's where he still is. He's in Dallas. You're like, you keep your job if you do that. But I had some notice. They told us with some notice. Okay. And that's how I ended up back in Philly. Nice. So between WHYY, I worked there, and then 97.5 where I'm in, and currently I was doing that in conjunction with working in New York. So there were days where I would work in New York and Philly on the same day.
Wow, that's big, man. Like, and let that be, to the audience, to the viewers, and to the dreamers out there that, you don't necessarily have to stick with one market. We're in a position with the power of technology that, you can place yourself wherever you want to go, or whatever it is that you want to do. Just got to prioritize your time, of course. But, like we have the ability to do this. And look, what I mean? Like we chop it up from time to time, and
Yeah.
I'm flabbergasted. Like I'm gonna use
Yeah.
that term. Like I didn't know that. Like
Yeah. So, because I'm like, all right, I want to keep all these irons in the fire, and I knew I wasn't moving to Dallas, so
right,
that means I'm gonna need to look for a job. So then
right,
I'm thinking, all right, well, I can piece together this work. I can do this. I can work at WHYY Public Radio doing talk shows, and then I can get back into the sports thing. But at the same time, you got to keep those commitments, because I kept those commitments to stay until the move, because
right.
I gave my word. So at that point, I'm working in both. So you literally, there was times where I would in the morning go work something at 97.5, for example, drive up to Hamilton, New Jersey, get on the train, take the train up to New York,
Mm,
do the show up in New York, then come back home. Or I'd start the day in New York. I'd have to fill in, do something up there, get on the train, come back to the train station, drive to Philly or to Bala Cynwyd, where 97.5 was,
right.
do a show that night with Devon or whoever it may be, and then go home. So those were some wild days. And then after the Wall Street Journal closed, that the morning show got picked up by a different broadcaster. So they kept that show without the Wall Street Journal name.
Oh wow.
And so, and I wasn't working there full time, but then I remember there was some people with some family problems, and somebody was having children, and the children were sick. Their wife had to have surgery, and I had to fill in there too. So I would have to do that morning show sometimes, then get on the train and go up to New York and do that show as well. So it was a real hectic time there. I got to thank my wife for being so supportive.
Absolutely.
That was wild. So to bring it, we were getting close to it, to the end. So that happens. They moved to Dallas. I'm not working in New York anymore. I'm committed to working at 97.5 and WHYY. And I figure one of those two I'll catch on, and maybe I'll have some stability.
Right.
So I'm working both. And then I get a call from somebody I used to work with at Glenn Beck's network to come work for iHeart in New York.
Mm.
So I leave both of the, and I'm at the time, the program director at 97.5 didn't have anything for me full time. So I was like, I got to leave then. So now I'm working in New York full time for a while.
Yes.
Like just in New York, I leave those other jobs behind.
Little tidbit, because I recall that around that time when you were working at the Fanatic, and
Mm-hmm.
and you gave me the opportunity to come up to the studios and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
and I remember when you said you were getting ready to leave at that time, and I was hurt, man, like that hurt, and I was like,
Yeah.
no.
Well, the thing is, you got to have a certain amount of self-belief.
Right.
And I think one of the things that people they make the mistake of, they have the self-belief without any of the resume to show and prove. And self-belief is just belief. At some point you have to put that to action. At that point, I'm like, I've been doing this 15, 16 years. Like if you don't have something for me, I'm going to go find a place where I'm wanted. And it really didn't matter the genre, because I knew that probably none of those spots were necessarily my permanent landing spot. I just needed to better myself.
Right.
So I'm working in New York. I'm producing a national show now. It's a national syndicated show, iHeart. I'm in the building. We start off, I'm writing the next haul from the Breakfast Club,
Nice.
Power 105 with Charlemagne and them and DJ Envy.
Yeah.
I'm in the same studio as Rush Limbaugh. It's a different show. Sean Hanley's right next door. So the point is, I'm working with people who are it's growing.
Yeah.
Things are growing. Things are going well.
Yeah, the tier got bigger,
Right,
in a sense. Yeah, so I completely understand.
Steve Harvey's doing his show. He comes to New York. Hey, Tyrone, talk to Steve Harvey about this and this, how they run things in his studio. So
Right.
I thought, honestly, I was going to be there for quite a while. Along the way, my mom got sick, as you remember, So people that don't know, our fathers are brothers.
Right.
His late father and my father are brothers. So my mom is sick. She has multiple strokes. She's not doing well. And a lot of that burden is falling on my dad, obviously, your uncle,
Right.
and then my brother and sister, your cousins, your first cousins, like me, right?
Real
so
quick,
it's falling on him.
Real quick, shout out Uncle Steve. Rest in peace, Aunt Missy. Shout out to Steph, Terrence. Love y'all, without a doubt. Rest in peace to Pops and Brother Damon and everybody. Just want to put that out there. We always think about y'all. So and we'll touch on grounding and stuff later on during this podcast too. So, but I don't want to not let you forget where you were. But go ahead.
Yeah. So and then Mike Missinelli calls, and there's a new program director, because the program director didn't rock with me. He's out now.
Right.
It's a new program director that I actually worked with at the New Jersey stop when I was an engineer and started doing stuff with Craig. He's now the boss at 97.5 at the time.
Oh
So
wow.
this is where that, yeah, all of a sudden they contact me. They're saying, I want you, I'm actually wanted now. And then it's closer to home. So as well as I was doing in New York, and I probably could still be there, I want to try to at least hold up some of my end, be closer to home, be closer to my mom, be closer to everybody. So that's what led me back to 97.5 in the position that I am in now. So that happened in they called me in late 2017,
Right.
and then I started January 2018.
And you know what? I actually had a question, regarding that conversation. As we, as some may not know, you're now producing one of the best afternoon sports radio shows in the tri-state area, the Mike Missinelli Show on 97.5, The Fanatic. Tell us about that moment when you were notified that you would have this opportunity to become the primary producer for this show.
It was it was weird because at first I was still a little bitter. I was still a little angry, so I wasn't overjoyed
Right.
initially because I felt like I had been there. I had felt like I wasn't treated the right way, but at the same time, I had to recognize that the people who I felt like didn't treat me well weren't there anymore.
Right.
Because I think the people that you work with matters, and you can work
Absolutely.
around them, but it matters on like how far you can go. So I
Right.
needed some assurances before I came, but I got all the assurances that I could get. And Natalie be doing updates was a big thing because they wanted to have a softer touch, a female touch, a different mix of ideas in the
Right.
room. That was pretty big because I thought the show could succeed. And
Absolutely.
then once we're there, then they talked about simulcasting it on TV. And then I was like, well, listen, these people here, in addition to wanting to be home and everything else, they haven't mentioned doing anything on TV.
Right.
These people are mentioning doing something on TV at all, and it was not ever. It was really nothing I'd ever even thought about. But I thought once they bring it up, I go, well, that'd be something nice to try. Let's
Right.
see what happens, and that was one of the main factors. So being home was number one. Basically, 1, 2, and 3. Being closer to home was the biggest, and then it was 4. This show can succeed, and 5. The TV thing might be something to try. So that's kind of how it went in my mind.
Oh man, that's pretty dope. Switching gears. What keeps you grounded and or motivated while working in radio?
Well, here's why. The show is still the Mike Missinelli show, and I like doing it, but it's Mike's show.
Right.
Um, and we'll get to Sixers Outsiders. It's like I really haven't. I don't feel like I've accomplished anything yet, to be honest with you. Like when people ask me for
Ooh.
advice, I can sort of tell people I've survived in this business. Like this business chews people up and spits them out. It's a nasty business.
Right.
Like it's not. You shouldn't. And if you want to do radio, you should not do radio unless you really, really love it.
Right.
Don't do it just because you like it or you think it's fun. Like you have to love it.
Right.
Because it's a nasty business. I'm glad that I've been able to survive 20 plus years in the business. So I feel like I can teach people how to survive, but I can't really teach people how to succeed. If
Mm.
that makes sense. So really, I have no reason to not be grounded because I haven't achieved anything yet.
Right. Now, why do you believe you think you don't have the leverage for somebody to succeed just yet? Just picking up from there. Do you? I mean, I'm not going to say I suspect. I know you can push forward, but do you think that for what you've already been seasoned in, you can pass knowledge to somebody who may be inspired to work in this field?
About certain things, I can teach you how to survive, how to be well rounded, how to not care about what other people say about your path.
Right.
You have to have some strength in your convictions. The other thing you have to be willing to do is listen to the people who know more, who have been around longer,
Mm.
and those kind of in those ways, I can help someone. But as far as having that true success, which is making sure you're good and your family's good and your mom's good and your dad's good, that's that to me is success. Like, I always remember when my mom passed, I always felt like I still feel this way that had I had more success, I could have done more.
Mm.
I could perhaps have paid for even better doctors or a better facility or something like that. I feel like I could have done more. So many times I feel much more like a failure than a success because of what I'm not able to do for those around me.
Right.
And that's what bothers me. You know, like even with your brother's situation, we don't have to get all into it.
Yeah.
When I found out after the fact about some of the issues and stuff, I always felt like if I was an actual success, I'd be able to help y'all.
Right. Right.
The fact that I was unable, in my mind, that has to keep me grounded because I haven't succeeded what I set out to succeed. And I want to make sure everybody's good.
Right.
And I'm not at the position where I can make sure everybody's good.
And you know what? And I totally understand where you're coming from. And you know, like when it comes to my brother, like, and this kind of ties into mental illness you know, on the same lane, because you know, our community deals with, you know, stress a lot, you know, high blood pressure, and all of that can, you know, can take a toll on you. And you know, me and, you know, my brother, we've had conversations on the side, you know, when it came down to, you know, just, you know, wanting to be in the in the right space, but sometimes society doesn't allow you to be in that right space, you know, where, you know, a lot of people do talk that everything should be, you know, fine and dandy, this and that and stuff, but it's not always like that. And you know, by us being part of a particular culture, it's always 10 times harder for us to, you know, to take, you know, to get on the next level, because we're already a target, you know, for being, what's the word I want to use, like we're basically target, you know, because of our, you know, what, you know, they may, you know, assume what the culture may be. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it makes it harder to be able to get another job if you know you're coming from, you know, one place, you know, coming from one place trying to go to another place. And if, you know, the reference, you know, from the previous place doesn't give you the proper, you know, reference, you know, to the place that you're trying to get to, it's always going to be a problem, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm not saying that's exactly what, you know, me, what, you know, what my brother went through, but you know, he had some battles with that, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when he left his, you know, his last job. And eventually he got on his feet, you know, to work, you know, at another place. But at the same time too, it's just you know, I don't, you know, want to say too much, but you know,
Yeah.
he, you know, just wasn't, you know, there still was a level of unhappiness that was there. And
Yeah.
you know, most of us knew it, but you know, we can, you know, put the mask on to make, you know, to not show it. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you gotta understand your mental illness, and
Mm-hmm.
don't let it be to be, you know, be the reason that, you know, you're not here. And because
Yeah.
it can lead to medical conditions, you know, to say. And you know, unfortunately, that was something that, you know, he you know, he had some battles with. And
Yeah.
you know,
It, yeah, it's tough for those that don't know. I'm not trying to put all the business out. This is just a fact. Somebody can Google.
right.
Your brother, my cousin, passed away 13 months ago at only 42 years of age.
Right.
And that's tough. And that was a tough year for the family. And this is for, I guess people don't. I mean, they kind of know from my end. Our uncle Tony,
Yeah.
our father's brother passes away in July.
Yeah, like that
Um,
end of July, right?
yeah, into
Yeah.
July, and then my father-in-law passes away in August. This is all in 2019. My mother passes away October 18th.
Right.
Then our grandmother
Mm.
passes away on that Sunday. I remember it was Eagle Seattle week
Yep. Yep.
that day, and then only a few days later, so out of nowhere, your brother passes away.
Yeah.
All happening in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
And to mental health, then that's enough to break somebody down as well. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of really how the whole family has held together through really tough times.
Likewise, man. And you know, special shout out to our family, you know, for everything that you know, we've been going through, you know, over the last couple of years, because it ain't been easy, and it's still not easy, you know, till today.
Right.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
often wake up in the morning excuse me, with that thought, like, okay, it's a new day and everything, but it's always in the back of your mind, like, I can't
Right.
believe, what I mean, what took place, and but at the
Yes,
same time,
unbelievable.
right, but we keep pushing forward, like
Hmm.
we don't let what higher power had already written continue to overplace what we already have in our current lifestyles, and we continue to push forward to the goals, to the dreams that we may have amongst ourselves, and also to like some of our peers, like they got kids, so
Yeah.
they got to be a role model, as well as a parent to their children, that are
Yeah.
still here. So like much love to our family, and also to our viewers who may have experienced something similar to what we have went through, and
Yeah.
just need a air of a word of, I don't want to say wisdom, but understand that you're not alone when it comes to going through situations like this. Like everybody in the world goes through it, and if you ever want to talk about it, feel free to reach out to my platform. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure
Mine as well.
yeah, you
Yep.
wouldn't mind anybody reaching out to you, because like they may see you because of your 9 to 5 role when it comes to working in sports radio. But like, look, like we are humans, like we are all
Yeah.
humans out here, and it ain't just what you see on social media and stuff. Like we everybody goes through real life,
Yeah. For sure.
you
For
know.
sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. So um just kind of get switching gears. During your
Yeah.
downtime, what are some things you enjoy to disconnect from your career?
Yeah, see, that's the one thing that's a little bit challenging. Like today's technically an off day, but it's not like I can't watch the Eagles game. Like I have to watch the Eagles game later
Right,
on.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, no matter
wait,
what.
wait. For the record, and I want this on record. You've been feeling so good on this. I got
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
I got a sweet parlay on this one today. So
yeah, yeah. I
look,
got that winning the game. They're gonna win Jalen Hurts first start. I got that locked in. Um, what I try to do to answer the question though is get away. I try to one when you're running around when you're working, especially during basketball season when I'm extra busy. I feel like you got to try to make time for your family,
right,
for your spouse. So I got to make sure she's good first. If I don't, I feel like I would be that would be a bad look. That would be a bad thing to do. So I do that, and then what I try to do is I try to watch other sports that I don't necessarily have to talk about on the radio. Like we don't talk much about boxing or MMA or something
right,
like that. I try to college football. I try to watch some because I do still enjoy sports, but I try to. It's not really unwinding if I'm going to have to talk about it the next day or later on that day.
right,
So for me, I try to watch other sports that I don't normally, don't have to talk about. And then, well, pre-pandemic, I try to go see everybody, but that's challenging right now. So it's just
yeah,
try to get outside a little bit. And I try to run every morning. That's another thing I try to do for myself. I don't bring my phone with me. Like I'm just
right.
out there, and I try to run about 6 miles a day,
That's
5 days
cool.
a week.
That that
Yeah,
that's
so I just
that's real cool.
that's unplugged time though. Like I don't have a phone. I'm
Right.
not on social media. I'm not worried about anything. And now I got to the point where I don't even run with music. That's just my time to
Mm.
whatever goes through my mind is what goes through my mind. Now I'm not criticizing people who do. I'm saying that's just my method.
Right,
Is
right.
I'm just out there in the morning.
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's
cause
just my method. I'm just out there hearing whatever it's hearing, and then I think about whatever the heck I'm thinking about that particular day. That gives me a certain amount of time where I'm completely unplugged. I could be dreaming about if I had superpowers. I could be thinking about the world and stresses of the world, whatever it is. But that's sort of unplugged time for me that I try to take each day.
right. I like that, man. I really do. And cause like I've interviewed previous individuals, and like I love asking this particular question, because I know everybody's going to have a different response. So, and
Yeah.
like someone may see it as redundant, but I love asking this question because it shows how different everybody in the world is, and
Yeah.
you know. And who knows, like one person can relate to that, somebody can relate to me, because I like to meditate in the morning time, like soon as I
Right.
wake up, I like to embark into some affirmation, and then once I do that, then I'm into my own zone to where I'm beginning my day fresh, not
Right.
being distracted by what the world, well, what I'm getting ready to take in from the world. So but now
Yeah.
that's cool, man. I actually think I may tap into, I like, well, the gym and stuff is closed now, due to
Yeah,
this
that's another reason why I
pandemic.
started running. Usually I would mix in the gym or whatever with it. Now it's just been straight running, and
Right,
it's been good for me. I don't know if it will work for the next person, but it's
right,
been very good for me. I can wake up in a certain mood or whatever, and then by the time the run is over, I didn't work out whatever that problem was, and
yeah.
now I can go ahead and attack the day the way I need to attack the day.
Yep, exactly. I did, when during the initial shutdown we had earlier in the year, and for some reason something was like, what, you need to buy something, buy some type of cardio routine. So
Mhm.
I ended up picking up a Nordic Track bike. So I
I've
utilized
heard
that.
those are good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, they
yeah,
very good.
yeah,
As well as, like, with the they got the iFit trainers on there and stuff. I don't want this to be
yeah.
free marketed and stuff. Hey, look, I know the track.
Right.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
what's up with y'all? What y'all doing today? What we
Right?
doing?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like, one dude,
yeah.
he be on there, be like, "Come on!" I'm like, "Yo, chill, man. Like, I can't
Come
do
on,
it,
man. It's
son."
early. I'm
Right?
tired. Right. What you doing? Yeah.
Exactly. But no, like,
Yeah.
it works out. So it's like, once I made that purchase, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just, like, create my own little home gym in case this
Yeah.
was to take place again. So eventually, that's what I did. Bought
Yeah. That's
weights,
smart. Yeah.
weights and
Because,
all of that and stuff. So, because it's like, who knows how long this is going to go on for?
well, we knew you knew people weren't going to listen.
Right. Mm-mm. Oh
So
no.
now we back to where we were. You knew it
Yeah.
was going to come.
Look.
Like, people ain't going to listen.
Right. Look.
Ashanti,
We Martin DMV Blues right now. We back at scratch.
right. Like, yeah, we are. They pointed over there. They was waving. Like, you
Right.
saw the Versus gets canceled last night with
Right. With
Ashanti
Ashanti.
and Keisha Cole, because
Yeah.
Ashanti been on 4 different flights in the last month.
Oh
She went to
yeah.
Atlantic City on a flight. She went to Kenya.
Right.
She went to
Nah.
somewhere else. And then she wondered how she caught COVID. Like, no, I
Yeah.
mean, listen, do what you got to do,
Right.
Shanti and everybody. But I wasn't shocked.
Right. Right. Yeah. Nah.
You doing all that traveling, like what you? Of course, you weren't nowhere near in the house.
Exactly. Like, and you just know. Like, it
You know what's
ain't
going to
nothing else you
happen.
gonna say. Like, you
Right,
just
like,
know.
international traveling. You know how long that flight is to Kenya.
Right.
You don't know who you with. You don't know. You're not keeping track of those people. It only take one person to be around you for mad long. So
Exactly. And that's almost a day. Like, if I'm not
yeah, like
mistaken.
like that's a long flight for you to just be with people you don't know like that. How
Right.
they've been living. They
Right.
might be breathing the COVID right on you while you sitting on the plane chilling. Like,
Exactly. Like, look, no,
oh,
you need to literally be in the bubble, like the movie Bubble Boy. My man
right.
in the bubble. Like,
It's a
that's
crazy world where
right.
Gucci didn't have COVID.
Yeah, Gucci and
He been in the
Jeezy.
house.
Right.
Jeezy been in the house, but Ashanti been wilding. So
I ain't
we
gonna lie.
needed to come.
That's actually still one of my favorite verses. Since the verse has been going though. Like, even though I know they had quite a host of
A
verses
real.
taking place.
Mhm.
But no, that was the one where, because you really knew the tension between the two, and they was able to to put that aside and entertain everybody during this pandemic. So, like,
It was rough, man. I had a bulletproof vest on in the house.
right. I
I was
told
afraid,
you.
like
Yeah.
the goons on Gucci side. I was like, there's way
Right.
too many bubble coats for Atlanta. Because
Right.
my sister went down there. I was like, what's the temperature? She's like, it's like 75. I'm like, that's an awful lot of bubble coats for 75. But they
Right.
hide up under them coats. I was like, this. Oh man, I thought for sure
Hey,
there's gonna be a shootout on that thing.
Hey, cuz, look, when I was watching that, I think I tweeted you, like, when I was like, I was on edge. Like, I literally
The
was
whole
on
time.
edge. I'm like, hold up, something gonna happen. Like,
I was
something
uncomfortable.
gonna happen. But you know what made me comfortable? Because I ended up seeing somebody story who was on Jeezy's side, and it was mad people on Jeezy's side. They just wasn't on
Just
the
further
video.
back.
Yeah. I was
Right.
like,
Further
oh,
back.
cool.
Yeah, he was super comfortable. He was super comfortable the way he was sitting. I was like, all right. He seemed like he all right.
Right.
But yeah, when he said go dig up your homie, I was like, what? He just told him to dig up his homie. Like, what?
Right.
Come on. I was like,
Like,
this is crazy.
I was like, yeah, man, this ain't gonna end well. Like, no, not at all.
so
But
I'm glad it was just peaceful.
absolutely. Even their after party that they had, together was
Mhm.
even was just about peaceful. So
Yeah,
I was like, man, cool. So yeah, shouts out to them, for even putting that together,
for sure.
for
Sure.
us. So
Yeah.
as a diehard 444 Philly sports representative, And you now have the pleasure to talk Sixers basketball on NBC Sports Philadelphia, along with your co-host, the beautiful Crystal Rich. Tell us
Mm.
how that opportunity came about.
Yeah, that was rough. I did not enjoy that process at all. So they called about the auditions. Um, they called in it was like July. It was
Mm,
like July of a few years because yeah, this was a couple years ago. This was the 2018 season.
right.
And so I come in, I do my first audition solo. I come back, I have to do another on camera, different audition solo. I had to go in again, do an audition. This time it was with multiple people, including Crystal, who had
Okay.
flown in from California.
Right.
So we auditioned together, like swapping out. There were a few people. So I guess they were just whittling it down. Then finally, there was a fourth audition with me and two other guys. So I think at that point, I think Crystal had the job, and it was just a matter of who they were going to put with her. And it was me with two other people for that audition. And then finally, I got the job. So yeah, that was just auditions. There was a lot of people. I know they had at least 20 dudes, yeah, 20 guys.
Oh,
And I
really?
forget how many women that auditioned for it. And they whittled down little by little. So after the fourth audition, I got the job. And then we started doing rehearsals. But yeah, when we did the first show, I had only met Crystal twice.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, when we did the first show, because she was coming in from California. No, three
Right.
times. Twice in auditions. Then we went out to eat to try to get to know one another
Okay.
one time. They were like, "You guys got to go out. We'll pay for it. Y'all got to go out and talk." Because we were complete strangers when we first started.
Right. Now let me take a step back. How were you even notified of that gig, that that particular position?
Now they contacted me, I guess, because of the simulcast with the Mike Missinelli show.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Gotcha.
they
Gotcha.
grabbed. I know they auditioned. They had me audition. They had some guys from some bloggers audition. They had some sports writers audition. They had TV people audition. And they had a whole bunch of people. I'm pretty sure no one had less TV experience than me, but there were some people who had the same amount, which was none.
Right.
And then there were quite a few people who had more. And I just kept making it through the audition process, and then the show started. But yeah, that was I didn't enjoy auditioning. I don't like it. I didn't
Look,
like it.
I'm not gonna lie. With my background,
Yeah.
having done some film work and stuff, like auditioning, it's not the best thing. I think where I might feel like the plus is where, depending on what the role is, and like most auditions, they want you to do a monologue. So I always pick the monologue that kind of relate to whatever's going on in my lifestyle. So that that
Hmm.
that, that kind of helped me, what I mean, pushing through, through auditions and stuff. But I agree, auditions suck. Like, what I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Yeah. And
like,
you almost and you're doing work that you might get rejected. And the whole thing is like, just
right.
tell me, you'll rock with me now. So it's
Exactly.
like,
I hate the suspense
yeah,
part. You know what I mean? Having to wait to
yeah, like,
find out whether or not, like, yo, did I get it or no?
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
and the process took a long time. It started in July. I remember, yeah, it started in July, and I didn't know I got it until right before the season in October. So all these auditions are happening over a couple of months,
right,
and I'm going in there again, and I don't know what the actual deal is, and they be a real cage. I don't know the name of the show.
right,
I don't.
right.
They just start asking me different things, and the first one's in like a closed room, then the other one's on camera, then another one's
Hmm.
at a studio space, and that was rough,
Yeah.
but yeah, it worked out really well, and then Crystal, I guess, killed her audition right away. So then it was just a matter of like who they gonna put with her. So
Right.
it ended up being me.
Oh man, no, that's cool, man. That's cool. Like it'd be pretty dope, because it's like, when I'm home, and what I mean, I had a Mike Missinelli show on, and let's say, the Sixer season is in progress, when like Mike Missinelli getting ready, go off. He'd be like, coming up next, Sixers Outsiders. It's just like, yo,
Yeah.
like, I'm like, yo, damn, my cousin been on TV for like the last 4.5 hours. Like, yo, like, love.
Yeah, with the re-airs and stuff. Yeah,
Uh huh.
it could be a lot.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and the good thing is for me, I just forget that it's you sort of not, you can't worry about it. You just go do it, and
Right.
then it's on to the next one. I try not to. I know I try to. I don't. I let them go, good or bad. All right, that one's over.
This
Time for we'll be doing another one.
and you know what? It's your role. Like this is something that you've always you've built yourself to be in this role. You know what I mean? Again, like going back to the travels from working in Philly to Jersey, Jersey to New York. Maybe have to go from New York back to Philly. To be able to do this. Like you created this for yourself, and like that's part of your legacy, man. Like you are a person who can actually say that you did it. You're doing it your way to to an extent. Even though it might be under somebody's company, whatsoever,
Mhm.
but you're doing what you enjoy to do.
Yeah,
Is
for
that fair to
sure.
say? Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair to say. And then the other thing that I'm pretty proud of is everything I do is one take.
Right.
The radio show is one take. It's live. We don't, and Outsiders is one take. Everything is live. The
Yeah.
mistakes, whatever it is, it's right off the top. We can't plan but so much.
Right.
Um, so that part I'm pretty proud of. I think that that is the one negative of the digital space at times is like there's a difference between a play, for example, and a movie
Right.
or a play and a sitcom and all that kind of stuff. And I am pretty proud that everything is almost like a play. Everything's live, everything's one take. And I think that that to me was always the true measure. I wanted to be able to do everything on the fly, one go, and just move on, just be able to take it, whatever's in. And
Right.
other people have to be very, very scripted and do multiple takes and stuff like that. And I'm pretty proud that I'm everything I do is one take. That part I'm pretty proud of.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. Like really cool, and also too, like you're great at it. Like you're great at
Thank you.
your
Trying,
profession.
try every day.
Like you're very great. Again, when I get calls, like, when people calling me like, yo, your cousin said this and that and stuff, I was like, he doing his job. Look, I
Yeah,
might not even be tuned in at what I mean at the specific time that they're call telling me about it. I'm like, yeah, he doing his job. you know, like
yeah. Like I believe everything I'm saying.
right,
It's not phony. And the thing is, people are going to disagree. That's one thing that's interested in me during this social media age is that people actually think I care if someone disagrees with me when I honestly don't. I'm
right,
just giving. These are all my opinions. What I do care about is I treat social media like real life.
yeah,
There are people I rock with in real life and people I don't rock with in real life.
right,
And what I usually do is if I wouldn't rock with you in real life, I don't rock with you on social media. It actually has nothing to do with whether or not you agree with me or disagree with me. It's
yeah.
just a matter of do I like you or not.
Social media is oversaturated. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
it,
too
it,
much.
it's oversaturated. I was at the barbershop yesterday and I was telling my barber this. I said, man, I said social media was much better between like 2002 to like 2010. Like, but once everybody had the ability to tap into social media, like with smartphones and stuff like that, it began to go downhill from there. So now
Yeah.
it gave, I'm I respect everybody having a voice, but every voice of opinion isn't necessary for social media.
No,
Like
it's just like it wouldn't in real life. Again, that's why I treat
right,
it like real life.
right,
There's people who you just wouldn't listen to about certain topics. Like if you got car trouble, you might not listen to the computer guy. You probably listen to the car guy.
yeah,
But this isn't
exactly,
hard. Like, not everybody's opinion. Everybody has a right to that opinion. That doesn't mean their opinion is valid, well thought out, or anywhere productive to society. And I
right,
think that's one of the negatives of it. It gives people who probably would not have a voice for a reason. Some people, it does give voice. The positive, it does give voice to people who might have been voiceless otherwise if
right.
they have something redeeming to say, but it also gives people with no redeeming qualities whatsoever a platform that they don't deserve.
That's true. That's very true. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so just to, to kind of close things out. This is like my little Oprah Winfrey soul food masterclass, if you want to say. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
just a couple of questions that I've heard her say, and I'd love to be able to relate it to my guests. So, three
Hmm.
first question: three life hacks you to tell the world to do that'll create happiness amongst self.
Um, that's a tough one. Um, Number one, you gotta keep your circle real small. I don't know if
Mm.
that's a life hack, but I think that like keep your circle small as
I
far as those who really know what's going on.
Right. I think that's a real one. That's definitely one that can be useful to society to say.
Yeah. Like I'm not saying there's people if you have a lot of friends,
Right.
but not that you have to be able to trust the people that are around you, especially if you have goals, because you're gonna have people who will discourage you from those goals because they're jealous, and people who would actually be around you maybe be able to actually help you with that goal.
Right.
So keeping the circle small, I think, is big. I think number two is find a way to find music that you like and you
Mm.
love and enjoy it, because I think music is really good for people.
Right.
And I think that there's times where I don't really care what kind of music you like. I'm saying find the music you like and really listen to it and find time for that, because I think that could it's good for your spirit.
Right.
And then the third one is try, and this is one I always have to work on. Try not caring so much about the outside noise.
Mm. Good call.
With
Right.
whatever it is, like where I don't care if you're an accountant, a mechanic, whatever it is, kind of leave that stuff where it belongs and try not to internalize that outside noise, even if it's valid. Like
Right.
you can take it for what it is, and then you can just move on with it, but try not to internalize it too much. Those would be the three things I think would help.
Absolutely. And that last one, that's actually something that I continue to work on. With me, developing my platform and
Mhm.
not really taking the outside negative resistance that may come with it, or even don't feel discouraged if somebody don't even look at it. Like, this is something
Right.
that what I mean, I love to do at heart, and continue
Hmm.
to be able to push forward, to develop my own resume, to say.
Right.
So, but yeah, like those are three good hacks, very good hacks. So,
I think
and
so. Yeah.
lastly, closing out, what would you say is the best word that describe you and why you're here?
Oh, that's I'll say different, and this is
Mm.
why. I'll say different because it's kind of funny. There are throughout my life there will be white people that tell me I'm too black, and black people that tell me I'm not black enough,
Mm.
which is weird because you can't really thread that needle. So I guess just different. I'm me. I listen to what I want to listen to. I do kind of what I want to do. Nobody really tells us what to do with the content on any of the shows I work with. I mean, there's parameters that make sense to get numbers,
Right.
but overall, I think it's just I'm just different. You got rid of me. But for the record, for the people that want to get somebody blacker, I don't know if someone blacker than me could exist in the space that I exist in.
Hmm.
Like I don't. I think I'm as black as I can be and still keep my job.
Right.
And I think if I was gone, the odds of them replacing me with another black person of any kind is probably pretty slim.
It can't happen. It can't happen. Like, you've seen a lot. Like, you've seen a lot. You've done a lot, and working in this field of broadcasting, like, you come across a lot of different takes. you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think. So for everybody else, if you want to survive in the business, in whatever business, I would imagine that you have to be unique because there's only one you,
Hmm.
and like everybody, I guess, is replaceable, but they shouldn't be able to replace everything that you do if you're unique and true to yourself. They
You know
might
what?
find somebody close, somebody this and that, but they can't replace you and all that you bring. But as soon as you start faking to be something that you're not, then they can find that fake version of you.
Right. and that's what I was getting ready to say, because you think about certain situations where, let's say, they remove somebody, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be in a position to think that whatever the next person can do it exactly like you did it,
Hmm.
and like
Yep.
it ain't like that, like
No.
it ain't like that at all.
Rarely it is, and that doesn't mean that people get let go. Like I said, radio's a hellscape. Again, anybody out there, don't go into it unless you really really love it, because it's a cruel business. There's people who are really really talented that have been let go in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to get in the
Oh
names and
yeah.
stuff. People that are really good in the last couple weeks, and it happens all the time. And it's really not necessarily because of anything they did wrong.
Right.
It's just a nasty business.
Right.
So you may as well be true to yourself and work hard at it, and then do that, versus, because they're going to get rid of you if they want to get rid of you anyway.
Right. You know what? I just thought about this after what you just said. Does the, I say it like this: does the industry, do they feel competition from the whole podcasting platform, or like just that the whole internet streaming radio platform itself? Like, do they feel that, or do they just look at it as business as usual, being able to obtain sponsors who may want to run on their station, or like, is there
Um,
a sense of a feel of competition, like when it comes to the podcasting platform, and just
it is.
to
Yeah, there is, but individual podcasts, most podcasters don't make money doing their podcast.
right, right,
So what you're looking at a lot of times is the medium itself. So when someone gets in the car, you used to either have to listen to the CD, the tape, or the
or
radio.
the radio. Yep, yep.
Now your phone has the CD and the tape, like that's all on your phone, in
Yeah,
addition to the podcast, in addition to all that. So yes, it's more about just how the market space. The same thing happens with TV. TV has to worry about Netflix.
right,
TV has to worry about YouTube.
right,
TV has to worry about Amazon and all of them. So if they worry about them, the tough thing is they don't necessarily have to worry about certain individual podcasts. It's more that the fact that podcasts exist and how many
mm,
people listen to them,
right,
because you can't really chase those individual podcasts. Also, those podcasts work under different parameters.
right,
Like, for example, if we're doing live programming every day, most of those podcasts, like this right here, is one take. We just been going through. You haven't been in there saying cut, stop, reset, state that. Like, there hasn't been any of that. A
right,
lot of those podcasts are. They're
right,
like these produced pieces that took those particular time. Radio can't worry about that because that's not what we do.
right,
Like, it's just completely different. If somebody wants that, then they're not going to want what we bring anyway, because that's the point of it. You want live.
right,
If you don't want live, then you probably don't want us. So you can't really worry about that. You go ahead to your produced pieces, and that's fine. There's a place for that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why, like terrestrial radio can never go away. As long as somebody is in a vehicle, or and it does have the ability to now have like the apps, to be able to listen to it
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So
Right.
it gains leverage from there as well. So it's almost like you balance yourself, as how time progresses. What I mean to say,
Right.
So, but
Right.
yeah, like that's cool, man. Like
Yeah.
that's
So
real.
that's what it has to be. And if something happens in the moment, radio is still the only place you can really go interact with it. You cannot interact with that podcast live at that
Right,
moment when something happens. Don't get me wrong, there are some that do their things live and they stream live, but you can't really interact while you're driving. I
right.
mean, not
No.
safely. Not
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
safely.
Yeah.
Like, you typing
Look,
while you're driving, like, not safely. Like, you really can't do that.
look,
So that's another thing.
look. Real quick disclaimer on this one: do not comment, text, or drive while watching this podcast. Do
No,
not. No, I
no.
recommend you not. Don't do it.
Don't do that. Don't do it. While
Not
when
at
you're
all.
driving in the car and listening to the radio,
Right,
you're safely being able to interact. You can call in hands free. Every car got hands free now. You
right,
can safely interact
right,
with the radio in ways so that when something's live, and that's the other part, when live things happen, when news breaks, Bryce Harper signing, for example.
mm-hmm,
Daryl Morey, Doc Rivers getting hired.
right,
They're announcing that the change of quarterback. with Jalen Hurts.
Right.
That stuff's happening live in the moment, and you're able to react immediately to it organically versus a rehearsed thing. That's the difference in the mediums most times.
Yeah, and you can't beat that, and nor can social media outdo that too, especially with having the ability to talk with whoever the radio station is during that time, breaking out those type of news. So
Right.
but yeah, man. But nah, like this is fun. I love this,
Yeah, no.
guys. Like
No, thanks for having me. I
I
appreciate it.
really, really, really enjoyed this conversation, man. So if there's anything you want to plug, when it comes to you and your platforms, feel free to plug it right now. Because I do have it already at the bottom. You can follow Tyrone Johnson on Twitter at Ty Johnson News, and if there's any other platforms you want to plug, feel free to plug it right now.
Yeah, you could Mike Missinelli Show, 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports Philadelphia, Monday through Friday, 2 to 6. Tyrone Johnson Show, 97.5 The Fanatic, 9 a.m. to noon. And then I can say out loud, I'm allowed to say without any details, the Sixers Outsiders will be back on NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Great.
Those are the things I'm allowed to say. There will be more details, but I'm allowed to say that the show will be back.
Awesome.
And I will be on said show.
Awesome. Breaking news right here on the Politicin podcast, right here. You heard it first by Ty Johnson, right here, man. And shouts out to you, man. I'm very grateful, to have you on, and also too, man. Much love to you and everything that you're doing.
I love
right
you too,
now.
cuz. I appreciate you having me on. This is fun.
Absolutely, man. Look, even though I when certain takes are being spoken on the radio, look, I be texting you immediately, like, hold up, nah, fam. Like, look, but wait, real quick, and you know what I mean, before I even cut out here, because it was the one show when you had text me, and this was on around the time when I think Mike had asked you about, because I had tweeted something to him, and I wasn't even watching the show at the time, and then once I heard, when you text me, then like two other people text me and was like, yo, they asking about you on the radio, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, we were talking about you.
Yeah, because I ain't know Clay Davis was in Goodfellas. I was like, look, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
But no, that was love, man. Shouts out to Mike, shouts out to Nat, shouts out to Crystal, to everybody. You know what I mean? That's amongst the circle. But shouts out to you, man, and much love, and continue to progress. In this world of broadcasting, man. Like you,
hope so.
You have it. Like I'm gonna say it now. You're gonna have your very own national show in the future. It's going to happen.
Well, I appreciate it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to keep on trying. I'm just going to keep on pushing. That's the only thing I know how to do.
Right.
And hopefully the success comes.
For sure, man. Thank you. But again, thank you, for joining me for Politicin. And to everybody, thank you for tuning in to this episode. It's your boy, Politicin Hawk. My guy, my cousin, Tyrone Johnson. To the circle, you know him as Anthony. If you know, you know. Holla at your boys. Peace.